we have an assistant principal, and we have a counselor today, which I love. I love this. All right. Tammy Smith, wave. This is our principal, fearless leader here at Brekke. Am I saying that right?
Brekke.
Brekke. Okay. At Brekke Elementary in Oxnard School District. And we are so delighted to have you. There are 570 students that are under your tutelage, and we love that. Terry Lopez, wave, is our assistant principal joining us, and she has served at the field of education for over 21 years. Well, she must have started when she was 5 years old, okay, and has been part of the Brekke Elementary School in Oxnard, California School Districts since 2007. And then we have Ashleigh Arias, is the school counselor of 9 years at this TK through 5th grade school, Brekke Elementary in Oxnard School District. Over the past 3 years, and this was intriguing to me when I read all of this about you guys, Brekke Elementary School has included ST Math in their school's journey to exemplary in the area of math performance. So ladies, we are all excited to get to know you and hear all your wonderful ideas and successes. Take it away.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Mary Jane. Appreciate that. So again, welcome to ST Math usage and higher test scores. I am Tammy Smith, like she said, the principal of Brekke School here in Oxnard, California. Oxnard, for those of you that are out of state, is in Southern California. We're about 60 miles north of Los Angeles. We are a TK through 5th grade school, and we have a population of about 570 students. Our whole district is a Title I district. Our school serves a population of about 80% Hispanic, 6% Filipino, 4% Asian, and 5% white students. I've been the principal for 3 years here, and I started during the COVID pandemic, which obviously that was fun times. Terry Lopez is my co-presenter. She is a half-time assistant principal. She's half-time here, and she also serves at another site in our district, the other half-time. When we first started implementing ST Math, she was a classroom teacher. So she'll be able to give you that perspective a little bit. And then our other co-presenter is Ashleigh Arias, who's our school counselor. And she's been in the role of school counselor for about 8 years here. On today's agenda, we will cover the following topics: our team approach to the implementation, because it did take the whole team, monitoring and success of ST Math, and the key players on the team, knowing our stats. We'll go over a playbook that we worked with, and working hard and playing hard, and then finally my favorite part, being able to deliver the win. So our math scores here at Brekke were definitely low, traditionally even lower than our language arts scores. And it was coupled with the fact that we were going on distance learning because of the whole COVID pandemic. And we knew that we would struggle to reach our students and keep them engaged. So our goal was to get all our students to participate in ST Math. We knew we needed to have all hands on deck to roll out the program. So we engaged the help of everyone and figured out how everyone could support.
All right, so as Tammy said, we knew what our goal was and we knew what we were setting out to achieve. So the next step was figuring out who was going to be a part of our team to move this forward. And we know that each district and each site may have different job families that are available to support in these areas, but this is how we made up Brekke's roster. So of course we have our players, which are our students. They are in the game all the time. They're going through that productive struggle as they're solving puzzles and working along their journey. We needed our fans, which were our parents. They were there to cheer our players on, and they also did a little coaching from home to support on the journey as well. We had our coaches, which were our teachers. They were in constant contact, direct contact with our students to encourage them and provide support if they were struggling in an area, assign different puzzles if they saw a need where a certain skill needed to be built up. We had our general managers, which were administrators, and they made sure that all of the players were in the correct roles and that we had all the resources necessary to be successful in our roles. Cheerleader, the school counselor, that was my role. So we supported in the academic domain to help encourage students with ST Math, but also in motivation. Sometimes it was just the motivation to get started and the usage. So we did a lot of goal setting and celebrating and had some incentive programs as well. And then we're also fortunate enough in the Oxnard School District to have ORCs, or outreach specialists, at our schools, and they help connect families to resources and provide support to families. And so they were our commentators. They let families know what the expectation was with ST Math, how they can support, why we were using ST Math, and the importance of their students utilizing the program.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go over this slide. So, coming into the school, we needed to know the stats. It was important for us to initially figure out where our students were academically coming out of, COVID. So we needed to know at our site how the kids were. We needed to know each grade level and each class. So where were they academically? So we had to dig deep into our data. So we looked at all our data, looking at our test results, our CAASPP results, which is happens to be our state test, and compared it to our STAR screening test that the district uses. And it was very clear that we noticed across all grade levels that math was the area that we needed to focus, that Tammy spoke to earlier. So we even broke it down further. We looked at the data, and we wanted to know, okay, what skills are they missing? What skills are they lacking? What are they missing from the year prior? Because a lot of them, we noticed that during COVID, they didn't attend all the courses when they were doing distance learning. So what do we need to address? So we were able to use, and how are we going to use ST Math to help us make an impact on our math scores and to bring the kids back up to where they needed to be. So if you look at the screen here, we said, okay, where are we going to start? We have some baseline things where we can say, okay, how are we going to assign puzzle pieces or objectives? And this kind of gave us a base where to start. It kind of gave us a clue, like, okay, K1, we can assign, they have to at least manage at least 25 to 65 puzzles a week, and so forth. So this kind of gave us a guideline of what we can do to help address the needs that we needed for our school. And also the program helped us with our, our curriculum that we had, fill in those missing pieces that curriculum didn't have, to fill in that in.
One of the things looking at that screen is when we started the journey, we were looking at time completion, like were our students, spending 30 minutes a day on it. And then we kind of switched that as we went on. We said, okay, it really wasn't important how much time they spent on it, because they could just be staring at a screen or whatever, but it was really the puzzle completion. So we kind of switched things, we learned as we went, just like everybody's going to do. And that was one of the switches that we made.
And we actually saw a direct correlation as we started looking at our CAASPP data, which was our state testing, and also our district assessments, that there was a very strong correlation between how far along students were on their ST Math journey and how well they performed on those assessments.
Yeah, this is an example of one of the reports that we pull. So this is a report from December of this year. And if you go into ST Math, and we'll have a chance to do that in a little bit, we broke down percentages by month of what completion should be. So this is just an example. This is all of our teachers here at Brekke School. And the goal for that month was 45%. And as you can see, all of our teachers at that point, their classes had achieved that. Now, this didn't happen at first. We were constantly pulling this report and saying, how can we support one of those specific teachers that wasn't meeting their goal for the month? It's now part of our culture and our expectations at Brekke. So this is easy for me to pull now and go, okay, great, all of our teachers are doing it. This can also be broken down to individual students that we'll look at in a minute. When we first started with ST Math, like I said, we use this report often to be able to support the teachers that required the extra help. So for example, if a fourth grade teacher wasn't making the percent, we would go to them and say, what can we do to support you? How can we get you to encourage your students to have them complete what they need to be doing? Ms. Lopez, you're going to address this one as the teacher.
Yeah, you need to share your screen. I don't see it.
It's showing it, sharing. Is everybody else not seeing that?
We're seeing it.
Oh, that's weird. I don't see it. I'm sorry. It's okay. I can go. I have my notes, so I have it in front of me, but I don't see the screen.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's okay. Oh, wait. So on this report, so as a teacher, I'm going to address this as a teacher. We had so many questions about how we not only can use it, use ST Math, but we needed to realize, how do we use the reports? How do we use this educators console? And, you know, we needed, like, how do we know how much progress the students are making in the content? Are they addressing the content? Where do we find all the information? What are puzzle pieces? So we had a lot of questions about this, but when we go to the educators console, it has a lot of information on here. I found it very helpful because we all needed to familiarize ourselves with it, but there you can find information on what the students are playing, currently playing, the progress on their journey, their puzzle pieces, and of course, like we're speaking about, the time also they're spending on here. The current level or objective, which would be kind of like the standard they're focused on. It shows alerts if a student is struggling, so then I can address it. I can check in with them to see if they need help. Is this too difficult for them? Maybe I need to review a little bit, or maybe even assign different assignments for them. And you can click on the student's name, and from there you can get a more detailed snapshot of their productivity and even assign objectives like we mentioned. That maybe if I'm a 5th grade teacher, maybe I need to assign maybe a top objective from 4th grade so they can get that review, and then they can apply it to the 5th grade content later on. And then, you know, they all go through the problem solving, you know, the importance of that productive struggle that ST Math talks about, and going through the steps of going through that. What do you notice? What do you predict? What can I try differently? And so on, and applying that to the skills or when they're struggling. And also in here, I like going there where you can even pause their journey and kind of like lock it for a little bit until they complete assignments that you assign them. Maybe you're teaching fractions and you want them only to work on fractions for that period of time in the class because that's what you're addressing at that moment. And then once they finish those objectives, then the journey turns back on. So I like that feature as a classroom teacher.
Great. I'm going to pause just for a minute here and just ask if there's any questions up to this point. I think it might be better to do it kind of throughout rather than at the end. So Miss Mary Jane, if you'll help me monitor, or because I can't see everybody on my screen. Does anyone have a question up to this point? Nope. Okay, we'll continue on then.
Okay.
All right, so as Terry said, we definitely, at the beginning, we're exploring a lot of different reports. And as we went along our journey, as the students were going through their ST Math journey, we found reports that really worked for us. Sometimes it was teachers exploring and finding something. Sometimes it was through the trainings. But these were some reports that a teacher shared with the staff, and they were valuable for our teachers. And this is the journey objectives for each grade level. And so the first report there is the class. So you can see on the journey which objectives students have already started on and how many students have already completed that piece of their journey. So if you are covering a certain objective in class, you'll know, do the students already have some prior knowledge from the ST Math, or is it something that maybe they don't have yet? So I know teachers use that report a lot. And then the one under students, this is the same journey objectives listed, but this is the individual student. And if you'll see on the far right, it has the pre-test and it has the post-test for that particular objective. So you can see, did the student start strong and end strong? Did they maybe not do as well on the post-test? Did they start lower and by the end we're stronger in that particular objective? So teachers use this feature as well for pre and post to see what additional supports they may need to provide to students. And they also looked at that along with other data points, whether what students were doing in the classroom or on our STAR math report, what areas students may be performing well in and struggling with, to see if they correlated. All right, so next piece, so the practice. So now we have, we knew what we were setting out to do. We knew the goal we wanted to achieve. We had players in the right positions. And then we had the reports that we were using, the data points to help us monitor. And so then we had to start putting it into practice. So it was definitely a constant discussion. It wasn't a one and done training where we presented it and said, you know, this is a great program. It's really going to help with our math scores. It was brought up at staff meetings. It was sent out in emails, whether it was a reminder of what the expectation was for ST Math, or offers for support, or different trainings that were available either through the district or through our ST Math partners. And so that was constantly coming up. And as we started discussing it more and more, the conversations were happening in the hallways between teachers and in the staff lounge, and part of their grade level collaborations, which leads me to the next one. The collaboration was also key. Teachers were discussing how students were performing, what benefits they were finding. If they found a new report, they were sharing it with each other and the staff. And so that led to a lot of feedback. We had feedback from admin to teachers, from teachers to students, and then students would provide feedback back to teachers. Teachers would bring that back to admin. So everybody was kind of aware of where we were in the journey, what our learning targets were, what some of our needs were, and that helped us also be able to solve any issues that came up. And I know Tammy would reach out to ST Math a lot and say, hey, this is something that's coming up, what can we do? And they might provide a training for us, or they might show the resource that can then be taken back to teachers at staff meeting. And then we knew we needed the support of our families. That homeschool connection is always so important for our student success. And so we did a lot of communication with families. Our teachers would reach out through their communication apps. I know that our ORC and our admin and some teachers and myself were on parent nights, whether we did it through Zoom during distance learning or in person for our math nights. We did a lot of communication with families. They knew when we were doing different challenges what the expectations were. They knew how important ST Math was towards their students' growth in the area of math. And then we used it a lot. We found different ways to use it within the classroom. And we also used it in our after school program as part of our tutoring components. I used it in some of the small group for motivation. And so it really was a great tool. We are fortunate enough here to have one-to-one devices. So we have iPads for all students. So teachers were able to use it in the classroom as centers. If they were doing small group intervention, the rest of the class could be on ST Math. So they were all working on math at the same time. It was also used during transitions, which was really helpful because that kind of cut down on some of the wasted time that naturally happens when you're transitioning from one to the other, or as students are finishing some assignments and others are taking a little bit longer. It gave that they were constantly on something that was doing math and helping them grow in their learning.
Okay, so we had to design a playbook. And so how are we going to do this? So the first thing we needed to do was train our staff. Our teachers needed to feel comfortable and confident when using ST Math. Initially, we provided our staff with professional development with representatives from ST Math on a district level, and then also at our site. Once questions started coming up, we started practicing. We would reach out to the ST Math representatives to find resources on their website, which are amazing resources there for us. There we found tutorial videos for our teachers could watch on their own pace, resources to help motivate the students, resources for us to help us along the way. We had teachers attend webinars and became experts, or at least felt knowledgeable about the program, and would train our staff during staff meetings, like mini how-to lessons or sessions, or look what I found out. And, you know, those were always helpful. We had grade level meetings. The grade levels would have little sessions there, and also these teachers would check in with staff members when needed. How are we going to use this? Well, is our team ready? So we're trained. Are we ready? How are we going to use this program, and how are we going to incorporate into what we are already doing in the classroom? Now, granted, in the beginning, it was much exploring, and as a teacher, I saw the benefit of this like abstract ST Math had. And I knew it was a great we needed to connect it to our curriculum somehow, because that's what was lacking. So we decided that as a staff, we're going to use it in a variety of ways. And some of the ways we use it in the classrooms, the teachers use in small groups. Initially, first to learn how to use the program together, and teach the kids how to use it. Some teachers used it in centers or rotations around the classroom. We would assign it as a homework assignment instead of paper homeworks. This would be your only assignment, is to work on your ST Math. We partner with our after school program and ask if they can help support the students by giving them the opportunity to work on ST Math and help guide them. And also in our tutoring sessions that focus on targeted math skills, we'd also incorporate ST Math there and assign assignments for those skills. As Ashley spoke about, now we go to how are we communicating this? Well, we had to get the word out to support our families. And probably many of you notice a lot of families like, what kind of math is this? How do you do this? And even as a parent, I had to stop and think, okay, what is the penguin doing? What is Gigi doing now? And so we had to help support them too, so they knew how to use it and so they can answer those questions. So when we began our journey during distant learning, we found that many of our families benefited from it. And we send out many different types of videos, and we record ourselves promoting it and sent those out. We found also little video clips on ST Math, and we sent those out. I think, and it was, and it wasn't a new way of learning, but we found one video I found on there just recently. It says how it works, the video on ST Math, and it kind of explains the whole messaging of ST Math, which is really great, talking about how it's looking at math differently as the kids get the conceptual manner of it, and then they can connect it to the symbolic work that they're doing in classroom, the different lessons in the class. The next one is, let's see. Oh, the other ways, sorry guys, the other ways we communicated were through flyers. Like Ashley stated earlier, we hosted many family nights where we shared the benefits of using ST Math, and we guided parents how to use it. We monitor and how to monitor their child's progress. We would present and promote ST Math at our back to school nights, parent meetings, and conferences. As a site, we set expectations and we agreed on the usage and set those goals and set the expectations of how many minutes per day or how many minutes per week or how many puzzle pieces on average we should complete. We thought about how we would look as a school or in each classroom, setting those goals by each trimester, and the teacher to set the goals of the students and monitor them, and the students were able to monitor their own progress.
All right, and then our additional opportunities. So if the feedback within the classroom, the connection with the teachers wasn't motivating students to use ST Math, we had some small groups on motivation, and ST Math was one of the topics that we would discuss. We did do a usage boot camp, so if we saw that there were students that were not using it, we did it as a positive where they could come together. They were working together on their ST Math journey. It wasn't just, yes, they were working on their individual journeys, but they were doing it as a group, and we provided incentives for that and encouraged that. So it was a fun way to get them to set some goals and get motivated to use the program. They can also ask questions during that time. There's an adult there that they can, if they're struggling with something, they can ask a question and you can help guide them through some of their thinking. And then we did a lot of goal setting. I did individual check-ins with students. And so we would do goal setting and celebrate at the end. So it was all positive, but it was all in addition to if our first part of our playbook wasn't working, this was kind of our next step that we would go to support students.
Yeah. And so at Brekke, we really, really enjoy working hard, but we also really enjoy playing hard. And, I grew up playing sports, so competition is really a fun thing for me. Competition can be maybe a little bit stressful for some people. We tried to make it competition that was really, really fun for here at Brekke. So we got our students and our parents and our teachers excited about using this new app by sending out, like we've talked about before, the flyers, the videos, jumping on Zoom, giving them a word of encouragement. We set the goals for the students and classes and grade levels. Then we instituted competitions among our classes at each grade level, individual competitions, district competition. We gave prizes. So, at that point, remember, our kids were on distance learning, but if they earned a certain amount of puzzles, they could come to school and pick up a prize for it. We had something that went back and forth between, if we were having our second grade level competition, if one of the classes won, they would get to keep something for the month and then hand it off to the next school. We'd also go into the classes and, yay, awesome, your class won for this month. So we do that. And that was just another way to promote excitement for the ST Math usage. So along with that, we had a district competition. We're gonna have another one this coming March, but it was last March. If you look here on this screen, their district competition, they set us up in schools with K-5 schools, K-8 schools, and middle schools. And Brekke's right there at the top. As you can see, we completed 376,214 puzzles in the month of March. That's absolutely amazing. It was more than double all the other K-5 schools, and we beat all the schools in all the categories by a lot. Our average puzzle completion per student was 671 puzzles in the month. So we were totally excited about that. Obviously, like I said, we like to work hard, we like to play hard. We provided awards and prizes to our students. You can see like the Dolphin Pride ST Math Award there. You can see the Golden Gigi Award, just to keep generating excitement. Teachers and grade levels were also recognized, like I stated before, for their work. And you can see the some in the pictures there. This is part of our celebration. We had told our students and our teachers that if we won the ST Math competition, our district competition, that students would get to pie the principal and the school counselor, and the winning classes would get to slime us. So we had an outdoor assembly, and 2 students from each class got to pie the principal and the counselor. So that was lots of pie in our face, obviously. And then the winning teachers from the grade levels got to dump us with slime. Ashleigh, I don't know if you want to add any more to that or not.
Well, it was just a lot of fun, and I think it's hard to see in the picture, but we did it in the morning during drop-off. So we had an outdoor assembly, so students were very excited about it. Parents stayed after drop-off to be able to watch the event. So it was a great piece to connect our Brekke community, and they had a lot of fun. They still talk about the slime sometime. When are we going to be able to slime you again? So I think we're having another competition coming up, so it might be something that's on our to-do list.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we definitely delivered the win. There's a couple things that we delivered the win on. You know, you saw that we were district winners from the previous slide, but one really cool data piece that we noticed, and we think we may be able to attribute that to ST Math usage, is the percentage of our students that qualified for GATE, the Gifted and Talented Education. Every year we test students to identify students for GATE. And this past year we had 20% of our 3rd graders who qualified. And that's really unheard of. I mean, typically a school would see about 5% of the population that qualifies for GATE. So 20%, you know, we thought, okay, was there anything differently that we did? Well, guess what? The thing that we did differently was the ST Math. So we have a strong suspicion that the ST Math puzzles and the thinking that the students were required to do benefited the students there. ST Math was used in addition to interventions to increase skills, and it increased our scores. Teachers shifted their focus, like we said, to journey that they use in assigning skills to students rather than to motivate what they needed.
And then, did you do the front loading?
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, one of the things that teachers shared is they found that students that were going along their journey were actually more engaged and participated more in the first instruction, more so than in years past. And they attributed that to their use of ST Math, or incorporating that into the students' day. They just said the questions that they asked, how they contributed to the lesson, so they really felt that the ST Math helped with front loading prior to lessons.
And also for reviewing.
And for
I also use it for reviewing. So it was a great tool to do review.
Yeah, and one really important piece that I almost missed on that slide, you know, our kids take the CAASPP, which is the statewide testing that we do in the spring of each year. And we had the CAASPP measure for year after year. This past year when we took it, we saw an increase of 14% of our students scoring proficient or advanced in mathematics, where, you know, most schools after COVID, their test scores declined. And we saw just the opposite. And we saw 14% more of our students being proficient or advanced, which was a huge win for us. One other thing we've talked with some of our teams, and our 2nd and 3rd grade teams said, you know, we see our kids coming in more ready for math instruction. And we said, okay, what was different? Well, what was different for us was the ST Math. Department of Education in the state of California awarded Brekke the Pivotal Practice Award for 2022. And the award was given to schools for the ways that they engage students during distance learning. ST Math played a big piece of this. In fact, during distance learning, where schools across the nation, like I reported before, saw a drop in the scores, we saw an increase in our math, language, arts, and socio-emotional scores. So we were awarded this, and we thank ST Math for playing a part of that.
And just to add to the social emotional piece, because that's my baby over here, but just the connection, the feedback, the connection that teachers are making with students. I mean, teachers are doing SEL, whether they realize it or not, in the classroom all day, every day. But the feedback piece, the check-in piece with the ST Math about where they are in their journey, discussing their learning, was a great connecting piece. And I think that that was also a big part of increasing our sense of belonging. That was one area that went up during distance learning and after. And then also with student teacher relationships, that was another area that increased for us as well. And so the connections through ST Math were a part of that. All right, and so best practices. So these were things that we found as we went through our journey. So focusing on the journey was more impactful for us. Letting students to go through the journey on ST Math at the grade level was important within the classroom and helped with the scores. The feedback loop was very important, having that constant communication, because had it been a one and done, you'd probably have some doing it, some not doing it. We were able to share successes. And so as we started sharing successes, other teachers became more interested in it, and then they tried it, and it just kind of spiraled and snowballed from there. We started with what we knew. So we started with the usage, and so wherever you are, start somewhere, because then you learn from it and you adapt and you can reach out and get feedback yourself so that you can improve it. We shared data, sharing the data constantly with staff, where we were with our journey, where we were with our assessments, how students were doing. We highlighted and celebrated the positives. So that was good for our staff. We celebrated students, we celebrated teachers. And then we also used the opportunities as an opportunity to set goals and improve in those areas. So the data was, having that constant data discussion was also important. And then students knew their goals, and because they knew what their goal was, they knew their targets, they were able, that helped them motivate them and take charge of their own learning.
Thank you so much
Thank you,
for being
everyone.
with us today. We've enjoyed having all of you, and we've enjoyed our presenters tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.